Wylab is a place where to share, innovate, and shape your projects, exchange experiences, ideas, and professionalism in a young, dynamic, and modern environment. We are the first incubator in Italy for startups developing innovation in sports. We select and support the best Italian and international talents with tutorship and funding. Sharing the work environment means creating new job opportunities, new contacts, and being in the front row of sports tech innovation. We organise courses, workshops, and conferences, providing knowledge, stimulating curiosity, promoting real and specific skills to innovate technology and business.
Ehi, ciao a tutti, eccoci alla 28ª puntata dei Wylab Innovation Talks, queste conversazioni, direi interviste che faccio con esperti in ambito sportivo, tecnologie applicate allo sport, ma soprattutto innovatori dello sport, quindi manager, imprenditori, dirigenti. Sono Federico Smanio, l'amministratore delegato di Wylab. Wylab è il primo e unico incubatore sportivo di startup sportive in Italia, attivo dal 2016, quindi abbiamo 5 anni di vita, e chiudiamo questa prima tornata di Wylab Innovation Talks, che è un formato che abbiamo lanciato quest'anno, il 28 di dicembre, dopo un anno che direi ne abbiamo visti tutti i colori. E lo chiudiamo questo ciclo, direi, in bellezza, perché l'ospite, lo dico spesso, e da questo punto di vista non vorrei essere troppo autoreferenziale, ma l'ospite che abbiamo oggi è veramente speciale. Stiamo parlando di una persona molto importante. Prima però di introdurla, spiego un po' le regole del gioco, molto semplici. È un'intervista di 30 minuti circa, in cui tocco un tema o più temi vicini al mio ospite, dove è possibile fare delle domande, le farò io, ma insomma, se ci sono domande da chi ci ascolta sul canale YouTube di Wylab e la pagina Facebook di Wylab, può commentare o comunque porre delle domande, io le vedo e le posso far vedere al nostro ospite, le possiamo commentare insieme, possiamo tentare di rispondere insieme. Chi abbiamo oggi con noi? Abbiamo il direttore generale o la direttore generale dell'Elche Football Club, che è un club che milita nella Liga Spagnola. Prima di ricoprire questo ruolo è stata general manager dell'Eibar, che è un altro club della Liga Spagnola, la prima dirigente donna di un club spagnolo, quindi stiamo parlando di un qualcosa di abbastanza unico. È anche membro del consiglio di amministrazione del board della Liga, oltre che dell'advisory board del Gipuzkoa Basket Club, e oltre ad essere anche membro del consiglio di advisory del World Football Summit, che è uno dei principali convegni, conferenze, fiere del settore nell'ambito del business applicato al calcio. È speaker a numerose conferenze in Spagna e a livello internazionale, ed è una ambasciatrice dell'introduzione delle donne nel mondo del management sportivo. Ha una laurea in Business Administration and Management con specializzazione in Finance and Accounting. E ovviamente la puntata sarà in inglese per facilitare anche Patricia. Welcome, Patricia.
Hi, hello.
We are finally here. So how are you?
Fine, and you?
I'm very well, and especially having you here after such a long time. We had to meet.
Yeah.
And then it was a difficult time because you were very busy with your club, and we had a difficult situation due to COVID, and then some very, very exceptional situation which you were actually celebrating the winning of the La Segunda División, and I wanted you to be in the promotion. So, and I wanted you to be in the talk. So we could. And I was losing hope, but you were so kind to accept my invitation. And so I'm really, really glad that you're here today with us. And I hope everything is going well for you, your club, and your people during this very, very hard times.
Yeah, finally we have achieved to be here in this interview. It has been a crazy season, a crazy year due to the COVID and due to the particular situation of our club, of Elche, because we have been playing until the end of August. Finally, we were achieved the promotion to first division. So the planning and the planification of the season, of this current season, it has been also very difficult for us with a short term to plan and to decide and to hire new players and to adapt also the team, the club to the first division, the sponsors and the different new rules. So finally, at the end of the year, we have achieved it, and due to that, I'm very happy with that. And I think that in the club we are more in a more quiet situation and trying to plan in all the tools, all the systems for this match that we will play this week and against Real Madrid. So it's a crazy week also, but we are here.
Good. Okay. So what's the link? I usually start with the link with my host. So the link with you is a story. I watched a very nice series, an Amazon series, 6 Dreams. And it's a series telling the story, 6 stories of Spanish La Liga. So one of the stories was your former president and Eiber. And you were the CFO, I guess, or the CEO of the club. The CEO, okay. And so I was impressed by the fact that the president was a woman, you were a woman, and you're maybe the first woman holding an executive position in Spanish football. I would tell you the truth. This is not the case of Spain, because I don't know many women leading football in Italy as well. I know Magda Pozzo, for example, she's the daughter of President Pozzo of Udinese and Watford. Mm-hmm. But apart from her and very, very, very few exceptions, you're one of the few, very few women at the top. How did you make it? How did you make it? So I want to know how was it possible for you to get there?
Okay, I started working in PwC in 2005. I spent my career during 9 years. I was working there in assurance. And after that, in 2014, when they were promoted to first division, they published an offer in InfoJobs, in a portal, in a job, common job offer, for being the new finance manager of the club. I applied to that offer. I thought that I will not be elected because I was a woman and also I was working in a multinational. So I thought that I was not the person, but I tried. And finally, I achieved it and I started working there. And in 2016, the board of directors of Eibar decided to make a change in the presidents of the club, and they decided to have a institutional president and create a new figure that it was the general manager. And they offered me to be the general manager, and I assumed that position. I started working as general manager in Eibar, and a year after being, or maybe it was the same year, La Liga sent us a proposal to start this new project of 6 Dreams. We accepted. It was not easy. I accepted because in many cases the person or the main person of the story was a football player, but in our case was the president, and it was a little bit difficult because the media was in all of the meetings and in our day-to-day life in the club. So it was a transparency exercise for us, but I think that it was a great decision because now the club is known in many countries of the world, and many people tell me about the Six Dreams series, and I think that it was a huge opportunity for the club.
Well, I totally agree with you, and I think this is the reason why you were here today. Otherwise, we wouldn't be possible. And I watched the series; it was very, interesting. And being a former football player myself, I see it's difficult, to have cameras all around. But I think in the end, is a good thing for football and the players themselves, because we need to open up. We need to make anyone else know what's inside the business. So this has been a great tool to achieve this, I believe. And I happen to mention Eibar often when I do my speeches sometimes, or for example, when I try to compare the Chiavari club, where we are based in Chiavari. It's a 27,000 people town. And we make a comparison with Eibar because we have the same number of inhabitants, and especially considering the strategy of the club. So I used you and Eibar a lot with the Entella, just to highlight the ideas behind your strategy, which I think it was impressive. So you define yourself as a value-based leader, Patricia. What does it mean, and what are the pillars of your leadership style? How do you manage your people?
For me, values are our DNA, and I consider that authenticity is the key to success, and you cannot be authentic if you are not honest with your way of thinking. So due to that, I think, I say that I'm a value-based leader. I think that I can summarize my leadership in 3 points. The first one, be true to myself, to my principles, and also to my way of thinking. I always try to act with honesty and coherence. And sometimes if I don't feel identified with a project, I prefer to step aside and start a new adventure. I need that feeling of belonging to give the maximum of myself, and I try to be aligned with the company's strategy. Second one maybe could be active listening and teamwork. In the club, we are surrounded by great professionals who are experts in their field. And in my case, as the CEO, I will always know less than the specialist, less than the members of my team. So due to that, I think it's very important to listen them, listen their contributions, points of view, involve them in the decision, and have the humility to learn from them, so that together we can develop ambitious projects and reach for all parties. And also work and effort. For me, management requires mastering many different aspects, and the business level and managing the relationship between the people who make up the company and its environment is key. So for that, I think that you need to have different sources of knowledge, ranging from training to use, going through continuous growth with new, more disruptive training, reading, learning from the best, doing benchmarking, and knowing also how to learn from mistakes that, although at the moment the world seems to be failing, I think that mistakes are key to growth as a professional, because they are the best learning. They are turning point to gain momentum and to grow.
Well, that's great. And I agree with you. I mean, it's how many people do you manage at Elche at the moment? What's your team made of?
I'm the responsible of all of organizations, so more than 150 people.
Wow, great. I guess you need a lot of coordination, but I totally agree with you when you say that our world is even more specialized, so we can't know everything about everything. So you need to trust people and you need to learn from your people. So I totally agree with you on this. The other link that I had with you was an interview that I read on a specific football business magazine by a common friend, Thomas Maurer. And I read this interview because I was at the time working with Entella on the digital strategy for a digital transformation strategy for the club. And by reading your interview, I found lots of common points that I had in mind, comparing to what I read in that interview. So I would like to ask you, you've carried out a fantastic, I would say, business transformation strategy for Eibar. So what is it all about? So you always start from the values and identity of the club, which is something that everyone should start from. But what are the main milestones achieved with Eibar, and why was it so successful as a strategy?
You need, as I have said before, when I define myself, my leadership, a company is something that is developing and something that has life. So you need to define your brand and your attributes and your values. And due to that, I try always to define what is the key for be different in a company, in a club. For example, in Eibar was that the club was the smallest club in La Liga. And also when I started working there, Eibar was one of the teams with a better economic situation, without any problems regarding liquidity or finance problems. So it was very known for that, for being the smallest club and also the healthiest club in a financial situation. Now in Elche we are trying to make also this new rebranding, because the club 5 years ago was relegated to second division due to economic problems. And when I arrived a year and a half ago, I noted that one of the main problems of the club was to rebrand the club and try to communicate in a different way and try to be aligned with our fan base, giving to our fans confidence and explaining them that it was a new project and that they could confident in the club and being aligned again with the club. We wanted to have back with us our fan base, and due to that we needed to explain them what was the situation, which will be the plans, and try to be very transparent and very honest with them. And that's the situation now. We are working in this way, and I think that fan base are happy with that, because we have many examples during the last transfer market, in which, for example, our fan base knew who we are, the new players coming to the club, but they wait to the announce that the club done in that moment, because they want to know the way in which we communicate that, because they were expecting and they were waiting the video of the announcement. So I think that we are achieving that, and it's key. We are trying to offer them a different product, a different club, and being aligned with our fans.
Well, I like the fact that you use the word fans or fan base a lot. I think this is crucial and central as a focus for a strategy in any case. So I totally agree with you. And what's the main difference, if you can tell us, between the situation with Elche and Eibar. Can you name one or more differences between now and your preceding experience?
The situation on the clubs are absolutely different. I always say that I'm living the La Liga experience because Elche is, when I started or when I decided to come to Elche, the situation was absolutely different. For example, Eibar was playing in first division, Elche was in second division. The financial situation of Eibar was very healthy. Elche had economical problems in that moment. Elche is a big city in a big province with many tourists. Eibar is a smaller city of La Liga. Is the population of Eibar is the 10% of population of Elche. The stadium of Eibar is a public stadium. The stadium of Elche is an asset of the club. It's property. The property of the stadium is the stadium belongs to the club. The owner of Eibar is a social club. Eibar has more than 10,000 shareholders. Elche has a sole shareholder with more than 90% of the property of the club. So the situation is completely different, and it was the key to decide to come here because it completed the experience for me and all my background in football, in Spanish football, in the Spanish La Liga.
Well, that's a great story. Going back to football fans and your fan base, and considering the situation we are living with football and sports in general, with the impossibility of having live events at the moment, we don't know when we will start again. But we know that fan base and fans are so important in the product itself in football. So how do you think fans will fit in a future after COVID? Meaning we know that we should focus more on fans. We should build a strategy around fans. This is what we always say, but few people, a few organizations really do this. What's your recipe for starting strong after this? Hopefully, this crisis will finish and build more sustainability for our sports.
I think that this situation changed us, and it was the point to start really working on a strategy, on a digital strategy. When the cover of our business stopped in March, when we stopped of playing matches in March, we needed to change, and we needed to start making and creating content for our fan base, because we need to have our social media with content, with video, with photos, and trying to communicate with our fans, but without the match. So for me, it was the key, and we needed to adapt to that situation. And now I think that we will be in that situation. We will need to be creating new content and been developing the digital assets that we have, creating new ways to give ROI to our sponsorships, because that situation has forced us, to all of us, to create new ways to have new platforms to our fans, new platforms to our sponsors. We need to be more creative and try to adapt to this new situation, and also to our new fans and new generations, that they are consuming not only the match each week, also the social media and the content that we are publishing in our social media.
Yeah, this is a great point. And you know what's happening with the new generations? At least this is what I read in the recent research, that they're losing passion for sports in general and football. So we need, to understand how we can attract this kind of audience and transform this audience into a loyal audience, and because these are the fans of tomorrow. So this is one big problem that we have. And the other thing that I notice is that it's difficult to manage let's say medium to small tier club, because we see that there's a difference between top clubs that are competing at a more, let's say, world stage, and let's say competing for a more international and global audience. Whereas I remember when you were explaining your strategy at ABAR, you need to concentrate more on the local community, because medium to small tier clubs, they need to make, different kind of, they have a different scenarios. But you also mentioned your internationalization strategy. So how are you mixing together being local and loyal to your community and open up to a more international kind of world in a situation where we have a bigger difference between the top clubs and the smaller ones?
We need to be close from our audience, our fan base, and the local fans that we have. But also we need to attract people from other countries, not without any criteria. We need to select which countries and try to search reason to link with that countries. For example, in the case of ABAR, when ABAR hired Takashi Inui in 2015, Takashi was the first, the Japanese player with more minutes in Spanish La Liga, in First Division. So that was the key for being the third team more followed in Japan after Real Madrid and Barca. And we decided to develop a marketing strategy around Takashi Inui. We went to Japan to explain what was the club, to try to make more known the club, and to introduce the club to Japanese people. And also we try to optimize the tools that La Liga gave us as La Liga Global Network Project. Thanks that we had a guy in Japan who helped us a lot, trying to start links with other Japanese clubs, with marketing agencies, or with media, Japanese media. So that allowed us to achieve to having a Japanese sponsorship in this league, and to try to increase each year the audience and the followers in Japan. That was the meaning of that was having more revenues due to the selling of the jerseys of Takashi Inui, selling the sponsorship, and having the return of assets that we had in ABAR. So now in Elche, the strategy is in the same way, not focused on a player, because we have not a Japanese player, for example, but we have decided that Argentina is one of the countries that we consider key, because we have more than 6 players from Argentina, and also the main owner of the club is Argentinian. So you need to define a strategy, being consistent with the club, with the main topics of the club, and defining which are your goals for the next 3-4 years, and design a plan for achieve it, and not only focusing on local audience, also trying to attract people from other countries, because being in First Division and being one of the most important leagues, football leagues around the world, I think that we have the the application, we need to optimize it and attract people from other countries and try to increase our revenues.
That sounds very, very logical and good to me. So we've learned about your leadership style. We learned about the strategy that you apply for your football club. We need to just ask you a couple of things on your commitment to bring more women into this male-dominated world of football. Can you tell us a bit about this story of you being involved in bringing more women into the field?
I always try to accept all the projects that involve women and that attract women in sports, and also women in leadership, because I think that we have a change in the field, but not in the leadership positions, in the decision-making positions. And for me, is key for the future, because the decision-making process is the key to change the future. So I'm in different projects, like in a mentoring project, trying to help those women that want to be leaders in the future, and they want to share their thoughts or the questions, and they don't need advice. They need to share their point of view and try to learn it from other. And also, I'm also in a project called Lobby of Sport. Is focused also in the decision making positions, and try to attract more women in that positions. And when there is a project around diversity, or congress or an event want to or decides that they think that my participation could be help for them, I try to accept and be there helping. So I try to help in all the things that I could. But the main of that things are mentoring and also the lobby of sport of women.
That's really great to hear. So unfortunately, Patricia, we are at the end of the interview. I promised you that it was brief. I think it was very interesting, but before letting you go, I need to know something from you. We always end up our interview with one advice for startups working maybe in football, in sports. If you could give one advice from a possible receiver of innovation as you are managing a football club, what would you give to one of these startups?
Be patient with clubs. And try to show to the clubs the benefits of working together. Clubs, unfortunately, are focused on short term, and startups always, or in the main cases, think in a long term ways. And for me, the long term is the key and is the success for the future. So try to be patient with them and explain them the benefits of working together. Clubs are very traditional structures, and startups are very very quick structures with a short decision-making process. So be patient and try it.
But this is great advice. I work together with startups and help them and support them while, discussing and selling to clubs as well. And I totally agree with you. The more difficult thing is like explaining to startups that clubs have, a different pace. Unfortunately, I think we would need to change this sooner or later, because maybe the main ingredients to sustainability is, fighting this short-termism and looking towards a more, longer kind of vision. But
clubs could be the best business angels for the startups, because the notoriety, the popularity, and the investment that the clubs could make in the startups is extraordinary. So I think that it could be a great project to be a business angel, a club being the business angel of a startup.
Absolutely. We always say that, and also athletes and players themselves. I think it's a perfect win-win match that we can establish, and I think we will do this sooner or later. Patricia, muchas gracias. It's been really nice speaking with you. I wish you all the best for the end of the year and especially the new year. Hopefully it will be much better than the current one, even if we have some silver linings in 2020. So everything we can learn about. So I wish you the best for your club and yourself personally. And thank you very much for accepting our invitation, and looking forward to hearing from you soon.
Thank you very much, and molto grazie.
Prego, enhorabuena y hasta pronto.
Hasta pronto.
Vamos. Ciao.
Ciao.